What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. But we're not going to be doing technical analysis. I'm going to be talking about the ETFs and the truth behind them. And I'm just going to cut straight to the chase, get to the point of this video, the main aspect of it, or where I'm coming from. I do think that the ETFs for Bitcoin are not going to get approved in November. They are not going to get approved in December or January or at any point in time in 2024. Maybe they get approved at the end of the bull cycle. I'm going to round circle as to why I believe that's going to happen. Let's start off with getting rid of my fat face and pulling up my screen here. I've got this pulled up. This is a headline from 2018, published Monday, January 8th, 2018. And the ETF, the new insane ETF proposal for Bitcoin generates worry on. This was the Direxion ETF that got proposed. I believe it was proposed before January 18th or January 8th, but I wanted to point this day out because there's some stuff going on that again will come full circle with this. So how long does the SEC have to approve an ETF? They have 240 days. Okay, let's assume that I believe, because this was on Monday, I believe that they proposed it the week before that, but I can't remember. Let's just say January 8th, okay? Let's go to Google Calculator here. I already did this, but I want to just go through it. If we take January into account, January has 31 days, and then we do February, it had 28 days. It was not a leap year, so it had 28. The next month, March, had 31, then April 30, then May 31, then June 30, then July 31. We take all that, that's 212 days. If we go back and look at the Bitcoin ETF proposals for 2018, SEC rejects 9 Bitcoin ETF proposals, one of which was the Direxion one, and there were some that were proposed after this, like in the late spring or even in the summertime, but there were a handful that were in the very beginning of the year, and I'm pretty sure even late, like very late 2017, that were proposed, if not the very beginning of 2018. I've been in crypto, you guys, since 2015. I've very much been heavily involved since 2017, so I have a history with this. I'm not just speaking out of my ass. This isn't my first go round hearing about ETFs or anything like that. You know, I've been in this space for multiple cycles now, and this isn't the first time that the headline of of a 90% chance of an ETF approval happening. Back in 2018, they had the same headlines, you guys. They had the same headlines. I remember watching a guy, some expert, whatever, in 2018 talking about how there is 99% likely going to get approved within the year of 2018. 99% likely. If you're a contrarian, if you're not a contrarian, you've never heard of it before, but contrarianism is where you hear the bird box, you hear what most people are saying, and by default you believe the opposite, right? I was just getting familiar with contrarianism in 2018. And, you know, I bought into a lot of the headlines, right? I definitely thought that the ETF was going to get approved, but who cares about the ETF, man? Like, who cares? We didn't need it then. We went all the way down to $3,000 and pumped all the way up to $70,000 without an ETF. We didn't need it. We actually did have an ETF approved and passed and launched, and I will go over that as well. Not a spot ETF. It was a futures ETF, but tomato, whatever, man. But before I get onto that, we've been in this situation before with multiple ETFs getting rejected, and I want to go back to the calculator again. That's 212 days all the way up to the end of July. Okay, assuming that the ETF was proposed in was proposed in the beginning of January, we had about 212 days here. If we add, right, it was what was it? August 22nd, 2018. If we add 22 days to that, that is a total of 234 days. How long does the SEC have to approve an ETF? 240 days. So they literally pushed it, you guys, to the ass end, the limit of what they could to deny it, right? And I remember in the summertime, there are all these talks of, oh, it's going to get approved. The late spring, oh, it's going to get approved. But it was these windows, like we're experiencing now, where there's this handful of ETFs that by the 17th, the SEC has to make a decision. Well, the thing is, they don't have to make a decision by the 17th. They have to announce if they're going to approve, reject, or pass it on to the next window. which is what they're probably going to do. They're going to pass it on. You're not going to see the ETFs be denied. Maybe we will. We're definitely not going to see them get approved. But most likely what I think is going to happen is we're going to push it. We're going to kick the can down the road until the last window available before they actually have to make a decision. They're going to get all their legal shit in order. They're going to come up with their reason for denying it. Yes, Grayscale won. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. Grayscale won, and the judge ruled that the SEC did not give a valid reason for denying the ETF. They favored in the hand of Grayscale. All that means, guys, is the SEC has to come up with a different reason to deny the ETFs. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that they have to approve it, right? We were all misled by that. Just like we're being misled by the 90% likelihood. Look at this, man. Look at this. I'm not highlighting it. This isn't me highlighting it. They highlight it for you. They want you to see 90%. And someone might say, oh, they're just going to highlight the numbers for you. Well, why aren't they highlighting this number over here? They're highlighting the chance because they want to manipulate you. Oh, I'm sorry. You couldn't see that. I keep forgetting to do that. They highlighted the 90% chance here. They didn't highlight this. They highlighted the 90% chance, right? And that's because they want to manipulate you. They want you to see this number and think, oh, it's definitely going to happen. And this is CoinDesk. You know, it's not like the mainstream media, but for crypto, it is the mainstream media. And you can go on a bunch of different media sources and see the same numbers, see the same things being talked about, with an emphasis on the 90% chance. What that means in my head, how I see this, is it's a 90% chance that it's not going to happen. We've been here before. Again, going back to 9 Bitcoin ETF proposals being rejected. They kept getting pushed back. The dates, the windows came up at the end of spring, in the middle of summer, toward the end of summer. They kept getting, I guess August was the end of summer, kept getting pushed back until they had no more time left, until they literally hit their last bit of time frame. And maybe it wasn't 234 days because it was the 8th that story got promoted. Maybe it was 226 days, but close enough. Well over 2/3 of a year, right? Or I guess it's almost 2/3 of a year, but just under 2/3 of a year. And I have a point. I have a point to this. Okay, here's where things get kind of interesting. Okay, I mentioned earlier that we had a Bitcoin ETF that was approved, and I'm going to go over that now on ETF.com here. The launch right here. You got to scroll down a little bit, but on October 19th, 2021, the moment ETF investors were waiting for finally arrived. The launch of the first U.S. listed Bitcoin ETF, and as expected, it was a hit. ProShares Bitcoin, you guys remember that? Accumulated $1 billion in assets just 2 days faster, or in just 2 days, faster than any ETF before it. That means the people that bought the ETF, they accumulated $1 billion in assets. That means they accumulated $1 billion from suckers buying their ETF at when? October 19th, 2021. Well, let's go back. Am I still okay? Good. My face isn't big. That's good. I was hoping I didn't mess that up again. October 19th, 2021. When was that? When was that, you guys? Let's see. It was this week here. This was the 18th, so it started this week. So the 19th was the day after that week started. It was right here, right there. It's kind of strange, / not so strange, that the ETF got launched at the top. Literally at the top, the quote-unquote end of the bull market. This is when your ETF, the first Bitcoin ETF ever got launched. Now, it was a futures ETF. It wasn't a spot ETF, but I have a point I'm trying to make here, okay? I've tried to make this video a bunch of times, guys. I ramble with this because I'm so passionate about saying that the ETF's not going to get approved. What was my point going to be? Oh, yeah. Do you think that the ProShares people, the people that promoted this ETF, proposed it, do you think that these guys have nothing, no idea, no clue about Bitcoin? Do you think they put in all the work to get this ETF approved and passed and launched, and they have absolutely zero clue about Bitcoin and the market cycles and the halving dates and the historical references that we have to tell us that we were at the appropriate time for the end to happen? Do you think that they had absolutely no clue at all, or do you think they knew what they were doing? It's kind of a coincidence, is it not, that the ETF that we were finally waiting for, it's not the ETF we were waiting for, but it was the first Bitcoin ETF, which was assumedly a bullish thing, $1 billion in 2 days. They accumulated $1 billion of assets. That means people bought $1 billion worth of this ETF in 2 days. And it was coincidentally at the top. They cashed out, man. They really cashed out. I think they knew exactly what they were doing. I think they did. And just like I think that the people who are promoting their ETFs now, they want their ETFs. The people promoting it, they want their ETFs. But the SEC is not going to pass that until the end of the bull cycle. It's not going to get past to the end of the bull cycle, just like the last one did. This one, again, it's different. It's a spot ETF versus a futures ETF, but whatever. Like, big whoop, big difference. The spot ETF itself, I believe, will require you to actually have like physical Bitcoins on your balance sheet. Though I think that if you're buying the ETF, you're not buying physical Bitcoins, right? You're just buying it from people, the exchange traded fund that owns the Bitcoins themselves, but you're not physically owning the Bitcoins. I would think that the ProShares had physical I mean, they had to have had physical Bitcoins, but this is where I want to get onto another point. Okay, another point here. Actually, I guess we can still show my face for this. I'm going to come back to the ETF in just a second. I want to talk about something, an idea, a hypothetical situation. Okay, for anybody who's been in crypto for at least multiple cycles, if not one cycle, or even recently with things pumping, you're aware of altcoins and how they pump whenever there's exchange listing news, right? Like if you have a coin that is not on any of the big exchanges, it's not on Binance, it's not on KuCoin, it's not on Coinbase, Gemini, Robinhood, Kraken. If it's not on any of those exchanges, when you hear the news that it's going to be listed on those exchanges, what's price doing? It's soaring, man. It is going. It's going places. And the reason for that, it makes sense if you think about it, is that the exchanges who are going to list this coin, they have to accumulate the coin. They have to accumulate enough reserves to sell to their clients, right? And what generally happens whenever these coins get listed on exchanges? They generally shit the bed. IPOs, there's a reason why people don't buy IPOs normally, which is an initial product offering for stocks. There's a reason why you shouldn't buy ICOs, initial coin offerings for cryptos. It's because people have accumulated these shares before they get listed, and when they get listed, they dump them on the eager buyers on the exchange. Now, I have a point with this, I promise you. So if you understand. And sometimes whenever a new coin is listed on Binance or Coinbase or whatever, it doesn't shit immediately, but oftentimes enough it does. And if it doesn't do it immediately, it'll do it within like a few weeks, 6 weeks at the most or something like that. Go back in time and look at any coin that got listed on Binance or Coinbase and tell me if you don't see that happening. Like they literally all shit the bed within a month, if not maybe a month and a half, very rarely, but relatively soon after the pump. And that's because the exchanges are no longer buying these coins. They're selling it to you now. They're selling it. They've stopped buying now. They're selling it. They're offloading their reserves to the retail investors. And I have a point, I promise. Here it is. The same goes for the ETF. These institutions, these exchanges, these, I don't know what else, there's another word for it. I can't think of it, but let's just call it institutions. The big players that are setting up these funds for the ETFs to come into play, they're accumulating Bitcoin, right? They're accumulating it. When are they going to stop accumulating it? When they've had enough. Well, when do they have enough? Whenever they're going to promote, when they're going to announce, approve, launch. When they're going to launch their ETF, that's when they've had enough, because they've got their reserves filled. Now they feel like they're confident enough that they have enough to sell to their clients, the little guys, little girls, and you will see the same kind of stuff happen. Maybe it doesn't happen immediately, but again, it's kind of crazy, not so crazy. Pretty big coincidence, isn't it? That these people who definitely know, they've done their research on crypto. They might not be the smartest people in the world, but they understand market dynamics, right? These people aren't just like random, oh, let's make a Bitcoin ETF. That sounds like fun. No, like they've put their time and research into it. They knew that this was the end of the cycle. They knew. And they knew that if they put out their product then, that they could cash out and drop the markets down, and then all these ETFs that are getting approved, they probably, or that are getting proposed, they probably accumulated and are still accumulating right now, and they're going to continue to accumulate. When are they going to stop accumulating? Toward the end of the cycle, or toward the time whenever the ETFs themselves are being launched. Because why are they going to stop accumulating? Because they're going to start selling it to their clients. They don't need to buy more. They have their reserves filled. So the idea, and I'm not saying if the ETF were to get approved, I don't think it will, but if it were to get approved in November or January, I don't think it's going to stop the bull market. I do think the bull market will continue, but these guys know what they're doing. they're not going to, it would be bad timing to have it come out now. Now they are proposing it, they are promoting it, right? They want it to get approved now, but the SEC is not going to do that now because, you know, the theory is that the SEC is being more or less, what's the word I'm looking for, controlled by people who have an interest in Bitcoin. They want to keep the price down as low as possible so they can accumulate as much as they can. So they're not going to approve the SEC, the ETFs right now and give more people an on-ramp to getting on. They're going to do that when they've had their fill and they're ready to sell it to the masses, all right? Which I don't think is now. It's not going to be at the beginning of the bull run. Why give a big significant event that last time was like a selling event? Why do that now when we're not even at the halving? We've yet to see the glory, the true glory of the bull run take place. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm rambling right now. I'm doing like what I did on like my previous takes on this, but I'm gonna end the video relatively soon. I just want to make sure that I went through everything. I think I did. Yeah, I think I went through everything. So, anyways, that's all I got. I hope it made sense. I I know that wasn't like the best finish to it all, but I don't think the ETFs are going to get approved, you guys. I've been through this before. We have literally seen these 90% likelihoods that an ETF is going to get approved, and then it didn't get approved. These people who are experts who know what they're talking about, like, wipe your ass with it. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, the people who are promoting the ETFs or passing the ETFs, launching them, they know what they're doing. But the people who are talking about it, that are skeptics, they're either being paid to do it or they're in on the inside, and they get people like you and me excited because then at that point when the ETFs get denied, when they get rejected, whenever they get pushed on, all this hype, all this media backed influence that is pumping up the markets, it goes away. And I wouldn't even say that we're pumping right now because of the ETF news. That's what the story is. But that's to scare any new investors out of their Bitcoins whenever they probably trigger a dump. This is what's going to happen. They're going to trigger a dump. The ETFs are going to get denied, and then all these people who bought thinking that the ETF getting approved was going to kick off the bull market, they're going to be like, shit, it's not actually going to happen. They're going to sell all their Bitcoins. Bitcoin takes a shit, a momentary shit, and then it recovers. Overall, it's just a higher low. It's what they call a shakeout. They call it a shakeout for a reason, to scare out the paper hands. Don't be paper hands, you guys. Please do not be paper hands. If Bitcoin drops, just buy more. If you want to sell it now, okay, go for it. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. I'm just talking about my personal experience with this exact same situation. And this video has gone on way longer than I meant for it to, but do not sell. If shit drops, if Bitcoin drops 20% or more, or 10% or more, or whatever overnight, and you miss the opportunity to sell, guess what? You didn't miss the opportunity to buy. You can always buy at lower prices. The bull market is just starting. We do not need the ETFs to be approved for the bull market to start. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. ETFs got denied back here in August of 2018, right here, and yes, we did have a drop afterwards, but this was in the midst of the bear market. We still had fantastic rallies afterwards, okay? We went all the way up to new all-time highs without an ETF, okay? We even got an ETF approved, and then we shit the bed. Who cares? Who cares if the ETF gets approved or not? It doesn't matter. But the media uses this kind of stuff to manipulate you psychologically, and they will use their funds to manipulate the price physically, or I guess in the ether, which further plays to your psychological disadvantage. The market, the reason why they're going to dump it is because if they dump it and then they have all these people who are buying on the hype up here, like why are we hearing so much about this ETF news right now? You know, it's not even the deadline for it. It's a window of opportunity right now, but I bet a lot of people bought up here, a lot of retail investors, what they call dumb money. This is why they call us dumb money, you guys, because we're emotional beings. We're not aware of what they're actually doing behind the scenes, right? But like they promote these stories to get you all jacked up, and then whenever they already know that the story isn't going to actually come to fruition. That's why they call it buy the hype, sell the news, because you'll get some kind of big shit, and then guess what? It's just a higher low anyways. It's a bullish thing. It's a bullish retracement. It's healthy consolidation. So if and when we see this, which will probably be this month, the ETF, this is what I wanted to talk about. If you hung around, this is like the grand finale of it, which isn't that big of a deal. It's not really that big of a deal, but the ETF approval window is coming to an end on November 17th, which is next Friday. Okay, right now it's Friday. It's November 10th. On the charts it says November 11th, but for me, right where I am, it's November 10th. Next Friday is the last day they have. I would bet a lot. I'm a betting man. I would bet a lot that before Friday we're going to get an announcement about the ETFs. Maybe one gets denied. Maybe a couple get denied. Maybe none of them get denied, but they all get pushed back. I don't know. I don't believe any of them will get approved. And then there will be all this hope for January. And then what happens in January? Whenever it's like, there's a reason why they talk about January 10th, man. Right here. It's because that's the deadline date. That's the deadline date for a lot of these ETFs, right? Oh, sorry, I did it again. I thought you guys could see that right here, January 10th. Why are they talking about that? Because that's the deadline date. So what's going to happen in January is we're going to get the official no on the ETFs. Everybody's going to lose their shit who hasn't been through this before, and it's going to cause a lot of people to panic sell. That's why they call it panic selling. That's why they call it shakeouts. But what's going to happen 3 months after that? The halving. Would it make sense to cause some kind of massive sell event before the halving, one of the most bullish events in all of crypto that's ever been? Would it make sense for the big dogs to cause a massive sell event, push it off? They're not going to deny them now. They're going to deny it in January, a few months, a quarter of a year before the halving is supposed to happen. It just all makes sense, man. And that's, I don't know how much sense I make. I hope I made a little bit of sense, but you guys, if there's one thing that I want to say without sounding like a crazy person too much that I'm certain of, it's that these ETFs are not going to get approved now. It wouldn't make sense. It would not make sense for them to get approved now. You want to list them now whenever Bitcoin's at a low price? No, you want to list it whenever it's at all-time highs. That's when you want to list it. And then using the ETF getting denied as a reason for the price going down is just classic. This isn't the first, second, or third time that it's happened. I know I only talked about the 2018 incident, but there's been other ETFs since then that have been proposed and have been denied, right? That happened in 2021 as well. And I guess technically in 2022 or 2021, October 2021, we did have a futures one pass, but I'm getting repetitive now. So what was I gonna say, man, to end it off? Basically, don't be scared. It's going to promote an opportunity to buy. It all, at least to me, it makes sense. They're going to create a sell event before the halving to give them enough time and enough of a dip to get their fingers in it one last time. They're going to scoop up all the Bitcoins they can. And then, you guys, this bull run is going to be fantastic. It's going to be one of the most phenomenal bull runs that we've seen. I mean, I guess since 2017, like really. So I guess excluding the last one, but it's going to be a much bigger, a much larger bull run than we saw previously. You know, if we're looking at this thing on a monthly basis here, this bull run, sorry, that's my cat. I don't know. He wants some wet food. But this bull run here is like what we're going to see, man. Maybe it's not going to be that dramatic from low to high here. Let's see. That was 18,000%. Maybe we don't see something like that. But I do think it'll be a lot more dramatic to the upside than 2,100. We're going to see maybe twice that growth. Let's see, what would that be actually, twice that growth? 42. 42 would be... I don't know, man. It sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, you guys. But I would expect that we see bigger. I wonder, what are our extensions from top to bottom here? Those are some deep extensions. Maybe we don't see that. I said we weren't going to do TA on this. Oh, sorry. I did it again, man. I did it again. I've got this pulled up right here, though. So from bottom to top, 2,100%. This one right here was like 18,000% or something like that. Got the fib extensions on there. Let's see. I mean, the 1618 would be here. We're going to go, you guys, I know it sounds crazy, but if this works out the way that I believe it's going to, Bitcoin will be worth close to, if not over, $500,000 by the end of this bull cycle. I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I really am. But they're not going to. Why? If it's going to go up this high, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but let's pretend that it does. I do think it's going to. If it goes up to these deep extensions here, why would they give you an opportunity to buy down here? Why would they give more people an opportunity to buy down here? and yes, we can all buy Bitcoin right now. We can set up crypto exchanges, but there's a lot of people, conservative people, who don't trust crypto exchanges, or they don't want to get involved, or maybe they just don't like crypto at all. But if there's an ETF where they don't actually have to buy Bitcoin, they don't have to handle it, they don't have to be the custodians, the exchanges can be, they might be more tempted. There's likely, just again, back to the whole Binance thing, right? Back to the whole thought of the Binance thing, which is that the biggest exchange for crypto in the world is Binance. Well, not whenever the Bitcoin ETF gets approved. When the Bitcoin ETFs get approved, the biggest exchanges are going to be Fidelity, JP Morgan, the biggest exchanges in the world, right? Like, I don't know, is JP Morgan even an exchange, actually? I believe they are. Let's see. But like, let's see. What are top exchanges in the world by volume? No, I don't. No. Top, not crypto exchanges. Top stock exchanges. New York Stock Exchange, yeah. Korean Exchange, the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong, London Stock Exchange, Nasdaq. Um, yeah. Whenever these big exchanges have the ETFs, even if there's not that many people, like sorry, I got a little lost, man. What a way to trail off. It's getting to be my bedtime. But if it's very bullish for Binance, or not bullish, very bearish for Binance, because you have the most people who can buy and sell crypto on that. If you see big dumps whenever Binance finally lists a coin, what happens whenever you have these exchanges that literally have trillions of dollars in assets on their balance sheet? What happens whenever it's listed on there? We're going to see a tremendous dump, but we're also going to see tremendous upside to that, because these are the same exchanges that are going to pump our bags. Right, we're going to go up into this extended zone before the end of the market. That's why, again, I think that we're going to see a dramatically higher, bigger bull market than we did in the previous cycle, right? And if the previous cycle from low to high we saw 2,100% growth, I would very much assume that we're going to see a larger move than that. And that move from bottom to 2,100 right there, that would take us to $330,000. I very much do believe that Bitcoin's going to be well above that by the end of the cycle. And I've listed all my reasons for that previously. So before I just keep repeating myself, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to end this here. If you guys liked the video, leave a thumbs up. It went on a little bit longer than I meant for it to, but I hope I wasn't just raving too much. I hope it made some sense. I have my reasons for being a little bit off right now, but that's personal. Anyways, take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.